Hey YouTube, today I'm going to do an update on my Musketeer Neo-Nectar deck. So finally, after like months of having this deck incomplete because I could never find Cecilia, finally managed to get 4 Cecilia, and as well as the grade 2 that I was missing, which was Sylvia. So now the deck is finally complete. I made a couple of changes to the 2s and 1s. So this is going to be the updated to the Musketeer. It's funny, I finally complete the deck on the eve of the deck's getting close to becoming irrelevant because Asha's coming soon, and then I'll definitely be covering Asha. Asha's probably going to be the main. That, along with Chronojet, are the 2 that I plan to cover on this channel. Altmile will also be in, probably a little bit later. We'll see. I plan to get the extra booster that has next stage, you know, dream spinning and whatever the Altmile was, but so whenever that comes out, you can expect to see those on this channel at some point in the near future. They're not too far out. I think the trial decks are coming out in May for the English release, and then in June there's going to be next stage and those guys. So let's get into the deck profile. So the Musketeers have always been like my main Neo-Nectar deck back in Limit Break and Break Ride. Well, I'm trying to think now. Break Ride? Yeah, I had a Musketeer deck at all times. Even during the G era, although it was a little bit different, I didn't really main it or do much with it, but I've always had the cards, so I still have the original Cecilia. I think these are my Musketeer sleeves, yeah. So, and then Legion is still Legion, for me at least, so, you know, this was the Legion, or one of them. The other one was Vera, which is arguably the better one. But we are running Peony Musketeer Martina, because she is the other grade 3 Musketeer. So Cecilia is your main target. If you open up with Martina, though, this might be good as first Vanguard, because then you'll go into Cecilia second. But if you go Cecilia first, then you kind of want to go Cecilia second. Kind of like that. It works out in that order. Kind of like, think of this as like Glory Maelstrom, and this is like regular Maelstrom in terms of what they do. This one does have that nice rearguard effect of when you place it from the deck, which tends to happen like at least once a game. That's why we're running 4 copies of it. It gets 5k and a critical, kind of like Bad End Dragger, sort of. That's the way I kind of think about it, because they're both Spike Brothers and Neo-Nectar are Force Clan, and then this deck is similar to Spike Brothers, so superior calling stuff from the deck. You know, it's like Gold Paladin, but it's more, I guess, resource heavy than Gold Paladin, because you have to retire your stuff, whereas Gold Paladin just looks at like the top card or 3 cards. This deck looks at like 5 cards and can call 1 or more, 2 or even 3 rearguards. So we got to run the Legion mate. So tour, nothing different here. So we're still running. I mean, I say they're Legion. Obviously, I'm kidding, but you know, they used to be Legion. Those who played old school Vanguard know exactly what I'm talking about. So we got to run Legion and Legion mate. That's what I call them. 4 of this, it's really good when placed on V or R. You get to counterblast, retire, rearguard, look at 3, and call 2 with Musketeer, or 1 of any. So the nice thing about it is if you don't have any Musketeer, you can still call 1 card. But if you have like 2 or more Musketeers, you can call both Musketeers. So we try to max Musketeers as much as we can in the deck for that effect, to maximize that effect. So now we have Sylvia at long last. So Pansy Musketeer, Sylvia, 4 copies of it. When placed on Vanguard or Rearguard, you can call a plant token. So it calls the regular token, the 5k 1 critical one, not the big one like our bros. So 4 of that, and then we run 4 Kalvant. So Lily of the Valley Musketeer Kalvant. When he's placed on Rearguard Circle, he gets 5k for each of your grade 0 rearguards. Usually you'll have 2 or 3 plants. Or even like a trigger, like Daniel the Musketeer, the critical trigger might be on the field. So he's when you play him, he's usually like plus 10 or 15. So pretty good numbers out of Kalvant. That's why we maximize the copies of him, and then you usually just intercept him off, or you can retire him next turn, or just keep him on the field as an attacker, booster. I mean, not booster, but attacker, if you need to. But usually he's retire fodder on the following turn if he's not intercepted away. Next, for grade 1s, we run 4 Mirkka. So Dandelion Musketeer Mirkka, when placed on Vanguard or Rearguard, Soul Blast 1, call a plant token in the same column as this unit. So she sets up your tokens in the early game or even in the late game. She's one of the token generators, and she's a Musketeer, so obviously you got to run 4 copies of her. When your other rearguard is placed in the same column as this unit gets 3k power. So that does count the token. So she's an 11 anytime you place something in the same column as her. Whether that's her own effect for calling a token, or you call some other thing from the deck from another Musketeer's effect, or just from your hand. Next we're running 4 Lily of the Valley Rebecca. She used to be... Well, I forgot what her effect was. Actually, no, she was the one who was like, counterblast 1, retire something, look at 3 or something, and call something. Now, when placed, one of your other grade 1s or less gets 5k. So, she can power up a token for a turn, or any of the other grade 1s. At the end of the turn, you can Soul Blast 1 and retire a plant token to bounce this back to your hand. So it has a bit of utility, so you can kind of use her as a shield. I like that. Or just reuse the effect in general. So pretty good in terms of resource management with this card. Not a whole lot does Soul Blast in here. I think this is one card that Soul Blasts. But other than that, yeah, the deck tends to be more Counterblast heavy. These two are the ones that use the Soul mostly. Yeah. And then the only other Musketeer grade 1 is Gastone. We run 3 of him. During the turn that he's placed from the deck, he gets 10k, so he's an 18k when you call him. He's an excellent target for any of the Musketeers that call stuff from the deck. You know, like check top 5s, call 2 Musketeers or 1 any unit for tour, or Martina calling 1 or Cecilia calling 2. So really good at 3. And then the last grade 1 I'm running is 2 Fruits Basket Elf, just because it's another token generator. There's not a whole lot of token generators in here. It's really just Fruit Basket and Mirkka. So if you want to run more Elf, you could probably like even run 3 or 4. You just have to drop probably like 1 Kalvant and 1 Gastone. But remember, now that I've got Sylvia, I've got way more ways of calling tokens from the Musketeers themselves, so I don't have to rely too much on Fruits Basket. But the nice thing about her is that if you use her effect, when your Vanguard's grade 3 or greater, those plant tokens are +5 for that turn that they're called. So they turn into the big token for that one turn. So that's why I prefer to run this as the only non-Musketeer, as opposed to any of the other cards that are available. So that's the grade 1 lineup. So pretty basic. We run 8 grade 3s, 12 grade 2s, and 13 grade 1s. So it's pretty standard stuff for Neo Nectar. And then for the trigger lineup, I run 4 of the Draw Sentinel, Maiden of Blossom Rain. And you gotta run the Musketeer Daniel critical, because it's Musketeers. You want as many Musketeers as you can, so there's no reason to not run him unless you don't have the card. But then, I mean, he's a critical trigger, so it's kind of a no-brainer. And then I am running Kapsaci, though insanely spicy battler. You can run the Water Chestnut or whatever his name is, Chestnut Bullet. But any other critical along with Daniel, just make sure you run Daniel because he's a Musketeer. He's the only Musketeer trigger right now. And then, of course, you got 4 heals, so Watering Elf. And the Musketeer starter, just because it's a Musketeer starter. So this was also the first Neo Nectar starter for Standard, interestingly enough. So anyway, guys, hope you enjoyed that deck profile. It's finally complete. At long last, my Musketeer deck is finally complete. It took me forever to get this card. But now that I have Cecilia in Standard, I can finally say that my Musketeer deck is finally done. And it's funny because, you know, like within a month, the Asha deck is going to be around, and then I probably won't be using this deck that much anymore. But I'll try to play it as much as I can up until that deck shows up. So, hope you guys enjoyed the deck profile, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Like I said, if you liked the video, please leave a like. It helps me a lot. And let me know in the comments what other decks you're interested in seeing, or my take on them. If I've got them, I'll put them together. Usually, if I don't have the deck, it's usually sitting in a bunch of single cards in boxes somewhere. And I'll catch you guys later. Thanks, guys.